Mornings with Mark Hayford. Boom, boom, woo! Wake it up, baby. It's Monday. It was dumb enough to come back, but the greatest decision you made was to jump on here right now. Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe. You know this is your favorite internet show. What's wrong with you? If you haven't subscribed yet, you need to make that happen right now, because what we're going to be serving up every single week, vision, motivation, positivity, showing people that are courageous and fight adversity. So when you subscribe, not only do we have 2 seasons of back issues, we have updates that you'll be getting every single week when a new show comes up. Now, talking about adversity and courage and vision, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome our distinguished guest today on Monday Mornings with Mark Hayford in Pennsylvania, where we film this live all the way from 64 Chestnut Street, Rutherford, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, for over 3+ decades, the retiring head coach of St. Mary's High School football. Put your hands together for Coach Michael Sheridan! Woo!
Wow, what an introduction.
Coach, I need a timeout.
Yeah, you got to get a timeout after that one.
So somebody, look, Coach, people, first of all, it's fantastic to see you, okay?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Been a while. Last time, we would see each other daily. I had hair, and it's been a long time. So a lot of people would say, okay, so why are you putting a football coach on this show for high school football? So I just want to be clear here. This is not a walk down Mark Hayford memory lane, okay? There's tons of football coaches. There's tons of people. You are somebody who has embodied a culture, who has literally saved a school. We're going to – a football program and everything else. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to get into it. There's a ton of people that want to talk to you and about you. But, Coach, before we go any forward, right, this has been a while, man. We're at time and distance and everything. I gotta set the stage. I gotta be mentally prepared for this. So I found this, and this was fantastic. And what's even better is, Coach, it's a little bit of a struggle.
That sucker.
It still fits. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. You're at linebacker weight now.
Linebacker, that's right. I don't know if I need to eat some cheeseburgers or stop eating. I don't know. But, Coach, welcome to the program. How are you? It's so good to see you.
Great. Great hearing from you, Mark. Thanks. Love to connect with you, and then any of the alums out there that might be tuning in.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of people tuning in, Coach. This show goes all the way to Australia, Canada, all through the UK, absolutely in Jersey. So there's going to be a lot of people showcased on what your story is and why you're ESPN worthy as far as a lot of people are concerned. Let me give you some proof here. I mean, first of all, the people that have come out of this organization, I mean, you've really brought up so many men today that are raising men today. I mean, you have people that have really come. Listen, it wasn't all like ponies, puppies, rainbows, and roses back in the 80s and late 70s in this program. I mean, you fostered men who now are New Jersey state troopers, people that have lived beyond the years they were supposed to, fighting things like pancreatic cancer. You have people that went into pro wrestling. People have dominated Wall Street. That's a mindset. And I believe a lot of that was fostered by what you did in this program. Talk about that fighting in the trenches championship mindset.
Yeah, that's really the secret. And I'll tell you what, Mark, when I listen, everybody follows these guys when they win Super Bowls and when they win national titles and stuff like that. But if you listen closely, like I do, when you hear from a Belichick or you hear from a Nick Saban or our new guy Dabo Sweeney, they talk about the everyday work ethic. Don't talk to me about being a tough guy because you lift this, you do that, you run this. Hey, come to work every day. Okay, go to work every day. Like I tell our kids, get up at the crack of dawn and go into that steel mill. That's a man. That's a successful man being able to do those things. So, don't be calling me while you got a little tummy ache, you can't be at practice. These are the things that you need to learn in life that's going to carry you through the tough times. The times when you do get, sidetracked and your career might get a bump in the road and you might find another one, or, you might have a child that has some disability, and what are you going to do about it at that point? It's gut check time. So
if I'm hearing you, sorry, I was just going to say, if I'm hearing you correctly, this wasn't about X's and O's. This was about building a tough mindset for people.
Yeah, Mark, when I was asked to come back and help the school, a failing Catholic school at a time in the 80s, when a lot of Catholic schools were closing up, I was fighting, I was, all those things you read about now and see on ESPN, the top recruits putting on the different hats and stuff. Well, back in 77, I was one of those guys. I was flying around the country visiting the top Division I schools and had my choice of where to go to school. I was riding that dream. I was going to be the NFL guy. And, it didn't happen that way. I ended up with back surgery and, after numerous attempts to come back from that, I had to give it up.
Well, Coach, let's talk about that. So if we can back off the school for a minute, put the focus on you. We look at your rap sheet here. You played in the 70s for St. Mary's. You were a middle linebacker, and you won the state championship as a player. Wound up graduating 1977.
Correct.
Ooh, okay, broke up. Okay, yes, 1977, and then from there went to Boston College. Correct.
Correct.
And you chose Boston, and then wound up having the injuries, the back injuries, and so in the meantime, when you departed back to St. Mary's, 1980, that school in Rutherford, New Jersey, a little school, became state champions. And you go from 1980 to 1984, the program's canceled. It's canceled. What happened?
Well, it's the story of small Catholic schools across the country, Mark. Every year's a battle to get your enrollment and maintain your enrollment. So when the chemistry of the school or the profile of a school changes, it really affects the small Catholic school. Other schools got enough enrollment that they can absorb a bump in the road here and there. But when a small school like St. Mary's High School, who is built on athletic tradition and in particular football, started to lose, had 2 losing seasons, wow, it almost closed the school. And we had to get that football program back up and running real fast and get the people to realize, it was a temporary thing,
Well, so first of all, I mean, there's so much I want to ask you about this. Before I ask you about this, I want to just set the stage here. A couple people wrote into the show, and I just want to read you what a few people have said, just to kind of put you, because you said we, and you keep referring to we, but I want to talk about you. So here's a letter that says, as your former player and captain, you were instrumental in so many lives, including mine. The fact that you were able to turn the program around from a 1-35 record, that's real, to a perennial powerhouse with over 200 wins is nothing short of incredible. Thank you for all that you've done for all of us. I wish my boys had a chance to play for you. St. Mary's alumni, class of 1989, former team captain, current director of sales, Glenn Cross, number 21.
Wow. That's great to hear. Like yesterday, Glenn was like yesterday, and I've got a chance to meet Glenn and see what a great father he was. His young son was just starting football at the time, and that's what it was all about, to see a young player like that go on and have a family like you have, Mark, and those are nice things to hear.
Well, his young son is now a Marine. So that's the mindset that you set a couple generations ago. Here's another one. This is from one of your competitors. I always thought Coach Sheridan was a class act. As a younger coach, I always enjoyed conversations with him. Whether it was something he said or just the way he carried himself, there was always something I was able to learn and become a better coach myself. High school football is going to miss having him on the sidelines. State champion head football coach of Wallington High School, Barry Blauvelt.
Wow.
That's real. That's real stuff.
That's stuff that's, when you're in the thick of it, Mark, and every year is another year to compete, until you push away and you hear these guys say the things they say, it's really, I don't know what the word is. It makes you think, wow, those things we did accomplish.
Yeah, you were impactful. You were very impactful for a lot of young men and a lot of boys that didn't have a father figure or, things of that nature. I mean, a good coach, a good teacher, someone who's credible and has a foundation is constant. That's important in so many households today, and that's why I think it's important for kids to get involved in sports. Not overdo it like we're in 50 million directions today, but to definitely have some type of guidance outside of the home as well. I think we're seeing it now. This is from past decades, people coming back saying things. So let's talk about this, Coach. I mean, man, you just 31 years as a head coach. You could put on a weekend clinic that people would pay thousands for to sit and listen and learn. Watch this. Here's a statistic for you. I don't know if you're aware of this. The school's 88 years old, right? Almost a century here. And unless I'm incorrect, and you can ask my wife, it happens pretty frequently, but I'm going to say you're the only person to have a championship as a player and as a coach in the history of that organization. 1976, you're on a state championship team as a middle linebacker. 2006, you took the St. Mary's Gales, Irish word for warrior, to a state title. I believe you're the only person in the history of that entire organization that has been on both receiving ends of state championships. True?
Yeah, probably. I don't know what, in particular football, yes.
Okay.
But it's a very short list of coaches. I have a picture on my desk of 5 coaches, and that takes you into the 50s. So it might have been like 2 or 3 before that. So that's one good thing. That's a tradition. When you see coaches that stay at a school, that's where traditions are built, because like you're saying, it's over. It's the same stuff. It's developing those characteristics we talked about. And I see some of these guys that jump around, and I'm saying, well, that's going to change the chemistry of the whole deal. The whole organization's got to change. So, no, it's been a great ride. It really has.
Well, I'm talking to if you guys are just tuning in, I have Coach Michael Sheridan, 31 years at the St. Mary's High School football program, retiring as head coach this year, talking to a living legend, a walking icon in the halls of that school. Coach, you hit 200 wins. 200 freaking wins. A good coach, a really good coach after a couple of decades might be lucky to hit 100 wins. There's really great coaches that are out there today that are 60, maybe 80, and they're revered in their schools. What is that like, 200 wins? I mean, what does that feel like, knowing where you came from?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, Mark, I didn't even know. We're coming up on this season, and, I guess as it got closer, I heard through grapevine I might be getting close to it, but I never thought about those things. You mentioned before, my first 3 years, I think we won 1 game. It was, you were part of that.
Yeah.
It was that to me was the best teaching moment that I had, because you guys weren't walking around like who the hell am I? We're state champs. We're this, that. We were surviving. We're just trying to survive to get to another game. But each week we thought we were going to win. At least I did. But I think we all had a mindset. And you talk about doing it in adversity. I mean, facing adversity. You remember, Mark, it was like really tough to get through the practice week and step on that field again with the record of, 0
Mm.
and compete the best we could.
And just to be clear, to set the stage here, it wasn't for lack of talent. This was lack of player pool. I mean, every year, this school was on the verge of closing. I believe my senior class was 47 people. I mean, I became school president, but it was like me and like Joey Bag of Donuts, to flip a coin, So, I mean, we really, from week to week, I mean, the senior year, when the 1989 season for me, I graduated in 1990, there were five seniors on that team. When you picked the program up in 1985, you had two seniors. What happens if one, gets strep throat? What happens? I mean, how do you, first of all, Coach, are you crazy? What makes you say, yes, I'm taking that? Most people take a promotion. They try to move forward. They get into a nice, comfy spot, big, luxurious, whatever. You walked into the worst possible situation that you could. I mean, this program it was a canceled program. School morale was zero. There wasn't any. The football team was for just lack of athleticism and the numbers. I mean, we got our brains beat in by today's standards. That program shouldn't even existed. But you said, I'm going to step in. I'm going to do it. You took it on. Why? What made you take that?
I think, again, I allude to the place I was at was a place of real personal disappointment that my plans and my goals had taken a hard turn. No longer was I the Division I athlete that's getting catered to and told how great he is and all that stuff, or going to be an NFL player. So, those things going through my mind when I said, okay, I'll come back and get this thing started. Then once I got here, forget. Now my juices kick in like the competitor that I was. And, if you can't play the game and you got a lot of competitive juice, then the next best thing is to coach the game.
Amen.
Pass on what you know, because that's just, and I'll tell you the truth, that enabled personal growth on my part, because what I learned to do is deal with different people from different backgrounds, because I had to motivate every one of you guys. I had to find a way, and coaching teaches you, that profession teaches you. You can get on one kid pretty good, but the other kid you better be patting on the back and putting your arm around if you want him to come back to practice. And it's the same thing in life. You've got to learn to deal with different personalities and motivate people in different ways. And that was a great teaching tool for me. And what made me take it on, Mark, was the competitive juices again. And again, I'm a St. Mary's guy. My dad graduated from this school in 1935. I was the last of 8 children to go through this school. So I took it personal. We're bringing football back, and we're not dropping it. And we're going to get it back to where it was when I left here, which was 10-0.
Okay, so let's go there, because 1985, 1986, 1987, 88, the 4 years I was there, we won one game in 4 years. 4 years. Forget the kids for a second. What kept you coming back? I've coached, a lot of people watching this have coached. That's demoralizing. What and again, not through any fault. I mean, the numbers you had, we never got off the field. Brian Masters never got off the field. Mikey Olasarege never got off the field. Jim Tomini never got off the field. What kept you going, another season, let's do it?
Well, one thing that kept me going, again, and I'll allude to it real quick, is just you brought up as a competitor, not just by happenstance that I achieved what I achieved as a player. I was brought up to be a dependable, responsible, tough individual. I mean, I remember my father suffering from cancer and being in the hospital next to his bedside. And my older brother says, it's 2:00. What are you doing here? And I was like, well, Dad, not in good shape here. And he says, hey, there's 30 kids waiting down the field for you to be at practice. What are you accomplishing sitting here feeling bad for Dad? Get down the field and do your thing and be there for those kids. So that's the kind of mentality I was raised in. And so that's a big part of why I was there every day. I didn't want to let you guys down. And the second thing, Mark, I want to say is, how good did that one win feel?
Well, I cried, and I'm not a crier, on the field next to Brian Masters, the 2 linebackers that year. We were juniors, and as a matter of fact, the game was almost blown. We won that game 8-0, Woodridge, and the game was almost blown on a callback touchdown by a clipping penalty. I can't remember who that was. I think that was number 44. But I'll remember it later, and we'll go back. But I digress, Coach. So, yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing.
That's it. When you look at all those 200 wins, a lot of those wins were just like, hey, you know what? We didn't get, we weren't, it wasn't so hard to win that game. How hard was it for us to win that one game in 3 years? Oh, man, that was a lot of hard work for us to get that one. So,
we literally went against schools where we were outnumbered 2, sometimes 3-1. Talk about Iron Man. And I can't imagine for the person that doesn't show up to practice or the actual we had tons of injuries. I've had broken bones, concussions, all kinds of things. And which, again, by today's standards, we're talking a different era of football. But at that time, someone goes down, Pat Ahern goes down, you got to reshuffle your entire defense, your entire offense, your special teams, because that one player never got off the field.
Yeah.
The creativity that was probably pulled in those first 5-6 years.
And that's funny you say that, but I immediately snap into, 10 years later, we're in a pretty good place, but our quarterback breaks his hand, so he can't take snaps. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do here? We got a big game coming up. Okay, can he catch a shotgun snap? Yeah, he can catch a shotgun snap. Okay, we'll go gun all day. We ended up running with Anthony Scott. We ran shotgun all day long, and we're doing the things that you see these colleges doing now, that type of wide open offense. And you know what? It goes back to the single T, the old wing T, where you snap the ball directly to the quarterback and use him as a runner.
Yeah.
No matter how this game changes, it always comes back to its roots.
Yeah, but what you're talking through all the X's and O's, Coach, it's how to deal with adversity, how to call an audible in life, and how to just take this mental toughness. So many of these guys that I played with that I literally look at, and I've served in the military, but I'm literally looking at them as like war buddies, because that's what it was. We got our brains beat in every day at practice. I personally, what I took away from that program, from those 4 years, from that one win was this. And today, we're somewhat successful here in the Hayford house. And I think a lot of that mentality stemmed from being a boy, learning how to fight, learning how if you want something, you have to go take it. I couldn't control the offensive line. I couldn't control what the defensive backs, but I control number 44. I know that what I got to do to prepare. I know that it doesn't matter. And I tell the kids this today when I coach them. It doesn't matter scoreboard. It doesn't matter time on the clock. It doesn't matter down and distance. It's got to be 100 miles an hour right now all the time, because that's what it takes. That's what it takes when it gets tough. And you taught that to me and so many of our teammates. It's been amazing. So thank you.
You got it, Mark. It's a great way to look at things. One step at a time. Don't worry about tomorrow. Let's do something positive today. Let's
do it.
Take that step together. Everybody do your best. Be at practice. Let's have a good practice.
Well, Coach, together with you now, if you have the time, because I want to be respectful of your time and all these viewers checking this out from all over the place, there's some people I want to talk to, and they wrote into the mailbag. So, Coach, are you ready to dive into the Mark Hayford mailbag?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Let's do this. All right. Mark Hayford mailbag. Mark Hayford mailbag. Mark Hayford mailbag. Borrowed from U.S. Postal Service. All right.
Borrowed. Nice word.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. It's like Christmas here. All right. Wow. Wow. Okay. This is intense. You got people from all over the place here. All right. Well, Coach, get ready. Here we go. A lot of people, a lot of questions. I had to kind of sift through this for you. Let's start off with this one. Nice and easy here. We're going to go to Hawthorne, New Jersey. Class of 1990, team captain Brian Masters.
Ooh.
Brian says, Coach, from a coaching perspective, did you feel more challenged when you were winning or when you were losing? What do you got to say to Brian?
Ooh. Um, like I said, I think I enjoyed the challenge of when we were losing more than when we were winning. Although it takes a lot of the same mental approach from, as I mentioned before, us joining arms and saying, we are not giving in. We're going to be there. We're going to give you everything we got. And let's see what the scoreboard says at the end. You know, that's kind of my comfort zone. I like being the underdog like most people do. Coaching from a standpoint of perennial champs, and doing all that, you know, and keeping kids, you know, focused when they're winning and thinking they can just show up and, you know, they don't really have to practice hard. That's a whole nother type of mentality you got to change and bring back to reality and get to motivate and focus. So it's as challenging, but it's a different challenge.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? Oh, you know, I mean, today listen, that's across the board. Everybody needs their own reality show. Everybody's a star. Everybody's going to the NFL. And they're not. You know, the fact of the matter is 10 of us go in for a job interview, 9 are going home. Like, you got to get that. So how do you do that, Coach?
Well, I was blessed with something else, which was good Irish sarcasm. You know?
Yes, you were.
I could let a kid know, you know, who he thinks he is, but he's really, you know, he's not all that, you know, and the kid not know whether I meant it or am I fooling around, you know. You find those buttons to push and say, oh, you know, you have been successful. That's great. But where do you want to be? So where do you want to be in 5 years? You know, so those types of things and pushing that button with a little sarcasm sometimes, it'll challenge them.
Okay.
You know, and say, you know, like I said before, oh yeah, you're good here, but where are you going to be on that Division I field in a year? You know, this work ethic. Yeah, this work ethic ain't going to work there because everybody's a high school All-American there.
That's right. That's right. Okay, I love it. All right, let's bounce to let's go to this one. Class of 1990, team captain from Hackettstown, New Jersey, Wally Tiberzi. Who's your favorite nephew? You don't have to answer that.
I don't have to answer that.
Yeah, forget that one. You could deal with him at a family barbecue, Coach. Let's go. How about this one? Let's go to a former colleague of yours, all right, from Nutley, New Jersey, former St. Mary's teacher / coach / DJ, Mr. Andy Conti. He wants to know, how important is it to have not only faculty but alumni involved, and not only promoting the sports programs, but the entire school as an academic institution? And I know you've been tremendous with that whole pulling the alumni and making that a resurgence. What do you say to Mr. Conti?
It's to a school like ours, it is essential. Without that chemistry, we don't have the pride that we need to have to survive. Other schools cannot really have that in there. It's our lifeblood. Without that at this small Catholic school, without our kids being in an assembly and seeing a World War II hero come back and talk to them, and he sat in the same seats that they're sitting listening to him talk about Silver Star. I mean, that connection is what makes St. Mary's defy the odds year in and year out. So, Mr. Conti, we took a picture this year for the Alumni Magazine. There's 8 of us alums on staff here. So it's the lifeblood. And we tell stories all the time, AC Entertainment. You know, all those DJ days, Mr. Conti was here. Our kids today still know that name.
That's amazing. Yeah. He coached me in baseball, and, you know, we didn't do a whole lot of math and algebra class, but we figured out that batting order, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So, all right, let's move on here. All right. How about this? Class of 1989, team captain out of Staten Island, New York, Glenn Cross. Have you ever sat back to reflect upon how far this program has come since the early days? You've overcome tremendous adversity over those first 5 to 6 years. Most people would have quit. What do you say to Glenn?
Yeah. That, you know, what I do every year is I tell each team about those early years, Glenn. I make sure they know that we would not be here today without those guys like Mark Hayford and Glenn Cross and Wally Diversey and Brian Masters. I have a photo of that team, and we're constantly telling them. And let me give you another example. We have the Thomas Holden MVP award. Thomas Holden was a star, many medals in Vietnam, and unfortunately was killed in Vietnam. Those Marines come back and talk about Tom Holden in our locker room, the same locker room he lockered in, and bringing our kids down to the reality of what it's like to be a St. Mary's Gale and what it's like to have to battle all those odds, and that's how we make that connection, and that to me is the secret.
It's not just about the highlight reel. It's about you're carrying an entire organization on your back when you put that uniform on.
Yeah, you play for more than that game. You know, we are playing for a lot more than that game when we walk out there, and that's just. I think that's what makes this place special and makes it able to survive year in and year out.
Well, I got one more for you, Coach, and this one kind of intersects with what you're just talking about. This is from Toms River, New Jersey. Jersey! Down the shore. Class of 1990, current athletic director of Barnegat High School and former St. Mary's quarterback, John Germano. He wants to ask you currently, he is athletic director of a small Group 2 school, and he wants to know deeper into the season when those injuries start to pile up. Like 1989, we have to do half-line drills because half the team's down. It's October. So deeper in the season, injuries pile up. How do you motivate today's seniors to be unselfish and realize there's a bigger cause in getting them to represent for the underclassmen by setting an example? How do you teach them that the varsity letter on your chest means more than just you? What do you say to John Germano, Coach?
Great question. Great question, John. And good luck with your position down there. And obviously, by your question, you're a hands-on AD that wants to know these things. And you know, it's a constant battle, John. And you know, that's the thing about athletics. I think that it is, as Mark said before, vital to the development of young boys and young men in that crossroad, because it teaches you what it's like, what it takes to be a leader. And without the leadership of those upperclassmen, the chemistry is not going to work. So how do you do it, John? Well, it goes back to what I said before. I've had in this office, I've had some tough moments. Like recently, I had to bring a guy in that is one of our most talented guys, and I had to just say to him, guess what? Do you think I'm going to put 31 years of my blood, sweat, and tears on your back and let you go act like you're acting like a showboat and like it's all about you and not come to practice? You're done. We're getting rid of you because you're not being a leader, and I'm not going to allow you to poison the other potential leaders, because there's quiet ones sitting there that don't have the floor. So you need sometimes to get rid of the ones that are looking for the attention but don't have the backbone to really be a leader. And then you'll find a true leader in that locker room, John. One or two of the guys, they might be the most vocal, but they're there every day. And when you get rid of the sour, cream comes to the top.
Boom! TheBomb.com just dropped right here by Coach Sheridan. Get rid of the sour, the cream comes to the top. I love it. That should be a T-shirt for St. Mary. Well, Coach, listen, we're going to wrap this thing up. Before we let you go, just want to know, heading into the spring of 17 here, 31 years, you're done on the sideline. You did it on your own terms. You like Frank said, you did it your way. And what's for the future for you and St. Mary's, and you know, what can we just look forward to?
Well, a big part of me coming to grips and feeling like it's time is because our program's in a great place. I really feel our school's in a great place. We got a great principal, and Mrs. Tara Brunt. She comes from a school just like ours, Paul VI in Clifton, graduate, very much a supporter of athletics in that she's an ex-athlete herself on the college level at every game, all through the seasons. We're in a great place, Mark. Football-wise, Mike Coyne's taken over. Mike played for me, 96 graduate of St. Mary's.
Okay.
Coached with me, state championship, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator later on. We've got a great freshman class. The numbers are going to be good. So everything's in a good place. So this spring, maybe I go work on my golf game a little bit and see if I can get a little more competitive there. And just try to enjoy it.
And Coach, for any of the alumni watching, and if they want to get involved back, to school, and anything coming up in the spring that they should know about, or
they got to come on our website. I kicked off a campaign of growing the St. Mary's alum. We have class reps in place. All they got to do is go on that website and reach out, and they will see everything. A loaded spring coming up with the spring gala on Friday night, May 19th. We honor 4 distinguished alums, some real successful people like you talk about, Mark. We have a golf outing, and that's coming up on the 7th of June. That's a blast, and so hopefully we can get some more alums out and see what I'm talking about. All
right. Well, Coach, for all the viewers all over the place that watch this, and for me, guys, we want to thank you, Coach Sheridan, for taking the time. You're very busy, and obviously you have created a legacy and a culture in that school that is going to go down in the annals of history. It's amazing. So I just want to thank you for your time. Guys, subscribe. We will see you back next week with another iconic rock star guest for Coach Sheridan for Monday Mornings at Mark. I want to say go out there, slay the day, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Thanks, Mark.